Hello, YouTube. It's me again, Marky, and this is PH Books and More. So, first, welcome back to my channel. Pasensya na if it took me a while to actually make videos because, life happened, diba? So, I'm trying my best to upload more videos in the next coming days, next coming weeks. So hopefully I'd find the time to actually do them. Second, I don't know if you can hear it from my voice, but I do have a sore throat this morning. So forgive me if I cough or if I clear my throat because yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me to not speak, but difficult for me to speak clearly, I think. There. And also, same as always, forgive the background noise. I'm filming this in the morning, so I hope you can just ignore the noise coming from my background. So there, again, welcome back and thank you for joining me. Today, I will be starting what I've always wanted to do. I'll be doing a book review of the books that I've read. I'm focusing more on Filipino books. So as you can see there, and uh, where to start, but with our two of the most well-known novels dito sa Pilipinas, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo by Dr. Jose Rizal. Um, Before we do start with the review itself, I just want to give you an overview on how I will be doing my book reviews moving forward. Um, First, please do remember that these are just my opinions and magkakaiba tayo ng opinions when it comes to materials we read. So, I hope we could respect each other's opinion and view on the books that I'll be featuring in my future videos. Pangalawa, I mentioned it in my bookshelf tour. I'm not a professional critic. I'm not a professional book reviewer. I'm just an enthusiast. So please don't expect terms, professional terms during my review because first, I might not use them properly because familiar naman ako, baka lang hindi ko magamit ng tama yung terminologies. So, I just don't want to make that mistake. And pangalawa, hindi rin kasi ako lumaki na nagbabasa masyado ng literary works. Most of the books I read are very casual. Kaya baka iba yung maging interpretation ko dito, hindi masyadong professional, sabihin na natin. But I'll try my best to interpret them in a way that's maybe easy to understand. Kasi nga, like I said, I'm just an enthusiast. I'm a casual reader. So, hopefully, hindi kayo mag-expect masyado ng terminologies na mahirap or terminologies na very specific. There. Okay, that's about it. And then for the breakdown of my book review or book reaction, I'll be talking about number one, the background of the book, like the theme. What is the general idea of the book? Pangalawa, of course, I'll give you the setting. So when it happened, where it happened, what's the culture like in the book, and then next one are of course the characters. So I'll share to you sino ba yung mga memorable characters, the characters I love, the characters I hated, and so on. Next are the memorable parts, like which parts for me stood out, ano yung mga parts na I felt were essential in the story or in the book, and also pati yung mga parts na hindi ko rin nagustuhan or maybe hindi ko masyadong naintindihan or whatnot. And then finally, of course, I'd like to share my personal reactions, like um, what I felt while reading the book, how I felt while trying to understand the story, ano ba yung mga naging, what do you call this? Ano yung mga naging realizations ko while reading the book. So there, that's about it for the breakdown. It might change in future videos, but essentially those are the things that I'll be talking about throughout my book reviews. So, with no further ado, let's now begin with the book review. I decided to just do a review, one video of these two books together because technically, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo is a duology, a trilogy if we're going to include the unfinished Makamisa. So, putting them together, I think, was the obvious choice. So, especially since connected naman yung kwento and yung story. So, there. The books that I read were from Adarna. These were translated to Filipino by Virgilio S. Almario. So, matagal ko na itong gustong bilhin actually. Hindi lang talaga ako nagkaroon ng chance because of, kaching. Medyo mahal kasi siya before for me. But nung nagkaroon ng sale sa Adarna warehouse, yeah, I was finally able to buy the two of them. For those who do not know, here in the Philippines, these books are part of the curriculum. Kasama sila sa inaaral ng students. When I was still in high school, we had these two books, Noli Me Tangere during my 3rd year in high school and El Filibusterismo during my 4th year. Hindi ko sure ngayon because we now have a different education system or education levels, kaya hindi ako sigurado if nagbago or when na siya technically. But yeah, it was part of my classes before. And again, these were written by Dr. Jose Rizal, which is our national hero. He is considered a prolific name in our history. He's instrumental in bringing independence to the Philippines. Kaya din, I think that's the reason why these are considered essential readings, because technically it's talking about our history, but in a way that it's more of fiction rather than non-fiction. So yeah, that's about it. And then what else can I tell you about the books? Yeah, again, these were part of the curriculum. So during my high school years, ang ginagawa namin nun was we discuss each chapter. Minsan may mga group discussions, may mga skit kaming ginagawa. I'm more particular with Noli Me Tangere because I liked my teacher back then. Mas naintindihan ko yung Noli Me Tangere because of my teacher. With El Filibusterismo, I don't have memories of actually reading it. Kaya perfect timing then that I decided to reread these two books. So that's about it for the background. Let's now break the two books down. Okay? So we'll be starting off with Noli Me Tangere. So alisin ko muna to si El Fili. Okay. So Noli Me Tangere, in English, this is basically Touch Me Not. That's the direct translation. Touch Me Not. But in other uh, translated versions, ang ginamit nilang title is either An Eagle Flight or The Social Cancer. This was published in 1887, so more than 100 years na siya. And this is part of the curriculum for junior students. So ito yung unang binabasa ng mga estudyante between the two books. Okay. Now, what is the story all about? This is basically, for me, it's basically the life of people in San Diego. Yung mga taga San Diego, kung anong klase ng buhay meron sila, kung anong klase ng lifestyle yung meron sila during that particular time. It talked about Crisostomo Ibarra, who is the main character, and he is basically an ilustrado, someone who's a Filipino who is educated. He came back from, if I'm not wrong, it's from Europe. I don't remember the exact country, pero galing siya sa Europe, nag-aral siya doon, and when he came back, he learned that his father died. So, one of the themes of the book is actually mystery. Kasi Crisostomo Ibarra is trying to find out what happened to his dad, like who killed him, or who ordered to kill him. So, yun yung isa sa plot lines ng Noli Me Tangere. Another plot line is yung relationship ni Crisostomo Ibarra kay Maria Clara. So, technically, it's a love story between the two of them. Kaya rin siguro sa mga 15-year-old student pinabasa to because they might feel that kilig moment. kaya mas bagay siya sa mas batang thinking. There. Another part or another plot line from the story is yung relationship ng mga tao to the friars, yung mga Spanish priest or mga Dominicans. There. The book showed yung relationship ng tao, how they respected or how they showed respect to the friars or to Spanish position with high positions, Spaniards with high positions in the government, and reflection din siya ng, I think, kung paano yung pamumuhay during that time. One of the good things I liked about the book, which I will talk about later, pero baka masabi ko na rin ngayon, is how Dr. Jose Rizal described everything. Ang galing ni Dr. Jose Rizal na i-describe yung mga situations wherein na-visualize mo yung pangyayari or yung nangyayari dun sa chapter na yun. So, this one, I would say it has a very hopeful, a very romantic theme. It's very light and somehow positive pa din. Hindi siya ganun ka bigat basahin as a book. Kasi nga, ang daming focus on culture, traditions, kaya rin hindi siya ganun kabigat basahin talaga. Kaya siguro recommended din siya sa mas batang reading mind kasi mas ma-appreciate nila. There. As for the setting, I would say it's more of an old town setting, like parang countryside. If you're from the Philippines, you would know na sa countryside or sa mga probinsya, mas na-value yung traditions, mas nakikita or mas ginagawa pa rin yung mga traditions compared if you're living in Manila. Kasi sa Manila, mas modern, mas liberal, mas outgoing. Whereas in the countryside or sa probinsya, mas nasusunod pa rin yung mga traditional na kagawaan or kagawian rather. Yun yung isa sa dinidiscuss ng Noli Me Tangere. Talagang pinresent ni Dr. Jose Rizal yung kultura, how people did things back in the 1800s. And that's something na sobrang ma-appreciate mo if you enjoy history, because you get to really learn about the old times from such a smart perspective. There. Okay. Now, let's talk about the characters. Oh wait, ang bilis ng review natin, nasa characters na ako kagad. Now, who are the characters that I liked? The one that I really liked was probably Sinang. Si Sinang ay kaibigan ni Maria Clara. I'm not sure if kaibigan or cousin, pinsan, but they have a very close relationship together. I liked her because Sinang is very unhinged. Okay? For that particular time in the 1800s, ang babae ay dalagang Pilipina, very demure, very prim and proper, but Sinang was not that. I'm not saying she's a bad person or a bad girl or bad woman. It's just that she's more open-minded. She's more crass out there, na mas modern Pilipina siya. Parang mas marami akong kilala ngayon na ganong klaseng tao. Oo. She represents the modern Filipina now. And that's what I like about her. Kasi hindi siya, her character didn't seem weak. Oo. Kasi syempre in the old days, many people think that women are inferior, na mas superior ang lalaki because of the patriarchal society. But with Sinang, she wasn't that. Hindi siya basta-basta na luluhod sa patriarchal society, na she'll voice out her opinion. Ganon yung personality niya, very very strong. That's why I really like her, kasi nga she reminds me of so many people that I know. Yeah. As for the ones that I didn't like, I think si Kapitan Tiago. Kapitan Tiago is Maria Clara's father. The reason why I didn't like him was because of how he treated Maria Clara. Na parang hindi niya priority yung well-being ni Maria Clara, na ang iniisip lang ni Kapitan Tiago is yung position niya, yung status niya in the society. Mas parang while reading the story, napansin ko na mas gusto ni Kapitan Tiago na mabango yung pangalan niya, that he's respected. He's a respected man in the town because he's rich, because he's powerful. But at the same time, mas mahalaga sa kanya yung reputation niya kaysa sa well-being ni Maria Clara. In the book, mas na-feel ko pa yung pagiging magulang ni Tia Isabel, her Kapitan Tiago's cousin, rather than Kapitan Tiago himself. Kasi mas may maternal, mas parental yung personality ni Tia Isabel compared to Kapitan Tiago. So, yeah, I just didn't like the character. I didn't like how the character was built there. Special mention is probably Sisa. Alam ko, if you're a Filipino, you probably know Sisa very well. I like her because she represented a struggling mother. Para sa akin, when I was reading the book, si Sisa yung naging representation ng Pilipinas na parang baliw ka na, binabaliw ka pa. Diba? Same with the country back then. Parang maliit ka na, minamaliit ka palalo. That you're not given an opportunity to grow, you're not given an opportunity to get better, na ang tingin lang sa'yo ay maliit. And that's what Caesar represented for me. Siya yung representation talaga ng inang bayan. So, ngayon ko lang yun na-realize while rereading the book. Kaya, nag-iba yung tingin ko kay Sisa. Because when I was younger, I only saw her as a crazy woman na hinahanap yung mga anak niya. But, after reading the book this time around, mas nagkaroon ako ng idea sa kung gaano ka-importante yung character ni Sisa sa story. So yeah, and wow, what happened to her was just crazy. I have to say that. Yun lang. Okay. Now, as for the memorable parts, like some of my favorites or some of the ones that I didn't like, the ones that I did like were all of the how do I say it? All of the holidays mentioned in the book. So, Christmas was there, merong Fiesta, meron ding Undas or All Saints Day. There was also this cock derby, yung sabungan or sabong. Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, napakagaling ni Dr. Jose Rizal magdetalye ng sitwasyon. He was able to really give you a good description of what was happening in that particular chapter. Na-describe niya din lahat ng posible mong makita. I mean, imagine him describing the stage or describing yung seating nung sabungan. Ganun ka detalyado yung pagkaka-describe ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa bawat traditions. And na-enjoy ko siya kasi I get to learn so much about old traditions, kung paano nila ginagawa yun in the past. Na this is a novel, pero it's like I'm learning history from it. And yun yung isa sa na-appreciate ko sa book altogether kasi ang daming ganun. Napakaraming details on how life was during the 1800s. Kaya ang sarap niya basahin kasi mas nagiging familiar ako sa lumang traditions. Another chapter na na-enjoy ko was yung ang pangingisda, because that one was more like para siyang date. Para siyang date ng mga characters like si Maria Clara and si Crisostomo Ibarra and then si Sinang, si Victoria and the other boys. So they went to parang beach side siya or lake side and nag-prepare sila ng food. So it was like a party technically, pero traditional old style. And nakakatuwa siya kasi ibang-iba na yung parties ngayon kumpara dun eh. So, looking at the contrast, it's really fun to see how different it was before compared to now. Sobrang memorable yung Rueda La Fortuna, which was Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, it was one of the old games that they play. And I think yun din yung isa sa reason why I like Sinang, because she stood her ground with that particular chapter. So, isa yun sa na-enjoy ko talaga. And then, the last one na I really liked was Ang Dalawang Senyora. This is really memorable for me because back in high school, it was one of the skits that we played. Hindi ko maalala if kulang ba kami sa characters na babae or kulang kami sa groupmates na babae or walang may gustong gumanap. But yeah, I decided to step in and ako na lang yung gumanap na Doña Victorina. It was a fun skit. And the chapter itself was also really good. You can really feel the tension between Doña Victorina and Doña Consolacion. So, ang saya. Gusto ko yung banter nilang dalawa doon kasi very, very palengke. There. Okay. Now, I think that's about it for um, what I like and didn't like about the characters and the chapters. Um, Personal reaction. First, it was too long. I think 69 chapters. Uh, and then idagdag mo pa that it's using old Filipino and a mix of old Filipino and Spanish words. I think that made it more difficult for me personally. For me personally to read kasi ang lalim nung Tagalog, ang lalim nung words that it was a bit difficult for me to catch up. Um, this is the first time in a long time na kailangan ko ng dictionary to actually read the book. Um, I appreciate that there were notes at the end of each chapter, briefly describing yung mga words that were used in the chapter. So sobrang commendable yung pagkaka-translate nitong book na to kasi uh, very direct, very complete, and straight on yung pagkaka-translate. Both books actually, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. But going back to Noli, yeah, it was too long for me. Maybe because then, yun nga, Dr. Jose Rizal really focused on describing everything very clearly. Kaya rin siguro siya humaba. Pangalawa, personal reaction was, ngayon ko na-realize that I didn't really care for the relationship between Maria Clara and Crisostomo Ibarra. Sorry sa mga nag-ship ng love team nila. But yeah, I realized that I wasn't a fan of that relationship. Maybe because I don't really enjoy reading about romance. Kaya rin siguro hindi ko siya na-appreciate. But yeah, when I was younger kasi, that was the idea behind Noli Me Tangere. It was a story about love, diba? So, I went in reading the book again thinking na, okay, this is a book about love. Kikiligin ako kay Maria Clara at saka kay Crisostomo Ibarra. Which, yeah, didn't happen. Yeah, so, yun siguro. Again, this is just my personal take on it, but I didn't really I wasn't really interested in that part. Yes. Another thing that I think na-realize ko while reading the book was how well Dr. Jose Rizal described everything. Nabanggit ko na yun earlier. Nakakabilib yung pagiging detalyado ni Dr. Jose Rizal dito sa book na to. Everything from small objects talagang na-mention niya, describe niya sa book. So, yeah, I'm really impressed with that aspect. As for the story, I like na meron siyang iba't ibang POV na in one chapter you're reading about Crisostomo, in another chapter you're reading about Sisa, tapos isang chapter pa si Elias naman. So that was a good way to keep you engaged kasi nga iba't iba yung binabasa mo na POVs na parang once you finish one chapter and start with the different POV, parang hahanapin mo na yung, ay shucks, anuin ko na to, kailangan ko na itong basahin din kasi kailangan kong habulin yung POV ni Elias, for example. So, yun yung gusto ko sa book din. It was really, really engaging because of the POVs. One thing that I would recommend while reading Noli Me Tangere is to read it while watching the CCP mini-series of Noli Me Tangere. It's on YouTube. Just search for CCP Noli Me Tangere. 13 episodes siya with I think around 50 minutes each. And what I did while I was reading is binabasa ko yung book per chapter And then, hinahanap ko siya dun sa TV series. I stopped. Tinitigil ko yung panonood kapag hindi ko pa nababasa yung scenes na susunod dun sa episode. It helped me visualize characters more. Na parang mas madali na sa akin na i-picture sa utak ko yung character because I saw it on a TV drama. And panoorin niyo siya kasi I think it was a very good drama. Napakagandang adaptation siya ng Noli Me Tangere. Napakagaling doon ni Joel Torres, Crisostomo Ibarra. So, yeah. I highly recommend watching it while reading the book. Kasi mas magkakaroon kayo ng idea on the characters there. So, yeah, I think that's about it for my reaction on Noli Me Tangere. I like this book. Yeah, I think I really enjoyed reading it. Binasa ko siya for, I think, 4 days. Kasi nga, ang haba niya for me. 4 or 5 days, I think. But it was a good read. I think it was essential for me to actually read the book. So, yeah, this one is good. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so that's about it for my Noli Me Tangere reaction. So now, we'll start with El Filibusterismo. But, palitan ko muna to. Okay. Oh, and before that, I want to show you yung sinasabi kong tala or notes. Yeah, here we go. So, yeah, there. So, every time na matatapos yung chapter, may mga notes regarding sa mga words or mga expressions that were discussed throughout the book. Mas magkakaroon ka ngayon ng better understanding, mas magigets mo yung meaning ng mga words that were used in the chapter. So both Noli and El Fili, itong translation na to have them. Kaya sorry, nagalaw ko yung camera. Kaya sobrang na-appreciate ko yun. Okay. So, now, ililipat ko lang si El Fili. Hopefully, hindi siya malaglag. Pag-pray natin. Okay, there. Okay. Gosh, saan hindi siya malaglag? Anyway, okay. Ayan. Pasensya na rin pala kayo sa setup ko kasi I didn't know kung paano ako magsa-set up kasi nga this is just me rambling about books kaya di na ako medyo nag-effort sa setup. Hopefully in the future mapalitan natin but yeah, for now pagpasensyahan nyo na muna. Okay. Now, let's continue with El Filibusterismo. Now, when it comes to the theme, in comparison with Noli Me Tangere, I think El Fili had a darker, a more serious tone to it. Mas political siya. Si Noli Me Tangere kasi was more social. It was about society. Etong El Fili, it was more political. It was more driven, I think. And mas seryoso talaga yung tone niya compared sa Noli. But it's effective if you're going to read Noli first kasi mas maiintindihan mo yung references ng El Filibusterismo. I mean, it's a duology and I highly recommend that you read it in order to have a better understanding of the story. Okay. There. As for the summary, let me give you a background of the book first. So, again, this is called El Filibusterismo. In the direct translation to English is the filibusterism. But for other translated books, you'd find titles like the subversive or the subversion. And this one was published in 1891. So, yeah. And if I remember correctly sa history, but don't quote me on it because my history was a little bit shaky. But yeah, if I remember correctly, this was banned back then kasi nga it's talking about yung governance ng Spanish sa Pilipinas or ng mga Spaniards sa Pilipinas. So it's a criticism on their government. Kaya rin siya pinagbawal during that time. And I think that's also one of the reason why Dr. Jose Rizal was convicted there. But yeah, that's basically a quick background of the book. This was part of the curriculum ng mga fourth year students back in my days. And I think tama lang din kasi during that time siguro mas mature na yung thinking ng mga estudyante and mas maiintindihan na nila yung deeper meaning ng El Filibusterismo. So, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons kung bakit mas binigay siya sa mas adult na mga estudyante. Okay. And of course, yung succession, di ba? So, third year, Noli, and then fourth year, El Fili. Tama lang naman yung succession din. Okay. As for the setting, oh wait, no. Let me go first with the summary. So, a lot of things happened in this book. Mainly, I think naging primary focus niya is yung discrimination against Filipinos. Kasi there were students who were trying to build a school for Filipinos, and Spanish government didn't like that. They felt like it's not needed. Filipinos don't need it, and it's something that will threaten the Spanish government. Another thing na discuss, or another plot line, is actually the revenge plot. I'm not going to give a spoiler, pero yeah, there was a revenge plot in this. The book, throughout the book, planning happened. Yeah, dun dinescribe ni Dr. Jose Rizal yung plano and kung paano mako-complete yung revenge ng isang character in this story. But yeah, I think the main plot is really the unjust treatment. Yung hindi pagkakapantay-pantay na may mga corrupt na tao sa taas, may mga bias na tao sa taas, and it's very clear that gusto ni Dr. Jose Rizal for people to revolt. Hindi naman revolt, pero stand up, I guess, na to stand their ground, na kailangan mo ipaglaban kung ano yung dapat, kung ano yung karapatan mo. And that's the main plot behind the I think that's the general plot behind the book itself. So yun. Now for the setting, similar with Noli Me Tangere, I think this is one very detailed book. Si Dr. Jose Rizal, magaling talaga siya mag-describe ng mga bagay throughout the story. Like the buildings, the food, talagang if you pay attention to the descriptions, may imagine mo talaga na, ay, okay, eto pala yun. Okay, ganun pala yung bahay. So, very good description talaga. Another thing that's different is the location where it happened. Yung Noli, it was more focused on the countryside, which was San Diego. Pero El Filibusterismo is more focused sa Manila. So, yung mga lugar dito were all in Manila. And that was actually one of the best things about it for me. Kasi a lot of the places na nabanggit dito sa libro are still are still here. Oh, they still exist. So, mapupuntahan mo pa sila. Although, yung pansiteria that was mentioned, if I'm not wrong, medyo dilapidated na yung dilapidated na yung lugar ngayon. But it's still there. You can still go to that place. Sarado na yun if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I mean, isa yun sa I think masayang part ng libro kapag pwede mong puntahan yung isang lugar that was discussed or mentioned in the story. So that happens here. Kaya yun. I love the setting kasi sorry. I love the setting kasi old Manila siya. So you get to see Manila on a more different way. So yun. Okay. Now, let's move on to the characters. Honestly, walang character talaga na as in favorite character ko from the story. I did like Basilio, pero may mga moments din kasi na nafo-frustrate ako sa character ni Basilio. Parang, makinig ka naman. Ano tawag dito? Sumunod ka naman. May mga ganong moments. But, I think he's just a confused young man. And, I like him because, yun nga, yung struggles niya was very real. Like, it happens to a lot of us. Nagustuhan ko rin siya kasi sobrang, how do I say it? Improvement or may character development from when he was young sa Noli, ngayon na young man na siya dito sa Elfini. Kaya rin siguro nagustuhan ko siya kasi may succession, may development dun sa character niya. The one that I didn't like probably was Don Custodio. Yeah. I'm not sure kung tama ako ng pagkakaintindi sa kanya, but he's like hindi ko alam kung congressman or mayor ba siya, but he's the one who decides kung ano yung mga ipapasa na policy in that particular location. And I mentioned earlier that the students, that they were trying to build a school here, mga estudyante. Students were trying to build a school, and it was up to Don Custodio to make a decision if ia-allow niya or if ia-allow or hindi. And at the end, yeah, he made a decision, and I just felt like Don Custodio is not fair. Like, na meron siyang pinapanigan. He's more, he's Filipino, but he's more, he supports the Spanish more. Parang ganon. And I can't blame him. I mean, during that time, of course, you have to show loyalty to Spain. Pero, ano sana niya yun redeeming moment sana ni Don Custodio Pero, yeah. Anyway, I don't wanna talk more about it kasi baka ma-spoil ko yung mga nangyari. But, I think from the tone of my voice, baka alam yun na din. So, sorry for that. But, yeah. I just didn't like him. I felt like he had no balls. Sorry. Hopefully allowed yun sa YouTube. Yeah, but that's about it. I felt like he had no spine, basically. Someone na memorable was, I think people would, naku, baka i-attack ako ng people for this, but I really enjoyed Juanito Pelaez's character. He's a spoiled brat, but he is a class clown. And growing up, I felt like I was also the class clown in school. Kaya medyo nakarelate ako sa characterization niya. I like him because comic relief siya ng story. And yeah, I just want to mention him kasi yeah, I think he's memorable because he's the comic relief. I didn't like him being spoiled, but I like that he was used to make things funny. Now, what are some of the memorable parts for me? One was definitely yung nangyari kay Huli. My gosh, this woman. Basahin, basahin nyo na lang siya. Again, I don't want to give any spoilers, but the story, or Huli's fate was just, uh, I have no words to describe it there. But yeah, it was really memorable for me. Another one was yung plano ni Simeon, or Simon. I liked him because I liked that part, yung particular na pagpaplano niya, because it was detailed. Planadong-planado. Alam niya yung kailangan niyang gawin. It's just that, yeah, people around him didn't want to help him or was hesitant at first. But I was really hoping, I was really wishing na magtuloy sana yung plano niya, but yeah, magtuloy talaga yung plano niya, but yeah. I like that part because it really showed how smart Simon's character is there. Another one, same thing I think with Noli, is probably the traditions that were described throughout the story. So, dito discuss yung perya, a fair, a country fair. And then, it also described the funeral. So, yung mga ganong lumang traditions were quite fun for me to read about kasi nga, it's very different from what we have now. There. Now, moving on to my personal reaction, hindi ko satisfied sa ending nito. I was wanting more. I wish it went a different way. Pero, I guess okay na din. Oo. Parang the ending for me was lukewarm, sabihin na natin. Or maybe because I was just expecting too much from the story. I mentioned Simon's plan earlier, and I just wish the opposite happened. Oh. Another thing na reaction ko, or another thing that I will remember this book is really how smart and how difficult it was for how smart the students were and how difficult studying was for them. Imagine having a friar, a Dominican, teaching you and really erasing your being a Filipino. That was a struggle. I think I understand now kung bakit one of the characters, Placido Penitente, wants to quit school because it was really tough. Yun yung napansin ko while reading the book. And maybe that's also the reason why a lot of the students want to build a school as well. Kasi they want change from what's happening in the current education system dito sa book na to. Like I said, this book is much darker compared to Noli Me Tangere. I was really intimidated reading the book kasi I felt like it's more serious, and I guess hindi lang ako ready sa ganong klase ng theme. But reading the book was quite a journey kasi mas nagkaroon ako talaga ng deeper understanding sa kwento ng Elfie. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't remember anything about it from school, pero rereading it, I have a new appreciation of El Filibusterismo. So, that's about it for my review of both Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Lalagay ko lang to ulit nito. Hopefully, hindi siya malaglag. Pero feeling ko malalaglag siya. There. Ooh, okay, there. So, that's about it for my review of both books. Final thoughts. Definitely read this. If you're an adult like me, and sobrang tagal na since last nyo nabasa yung Noli and Elfie, I would highly recommend reading this book again para lang magkaroon kayo ng ibang perspective. Kasi nga, tulad ng sabi ko kanina, reading this in high school, I just read it because it's part of the curriculum. It's a need, not a want. But now na nabasa ko siya after 20 years, I have a better understanding of why these books are recommended readings. I like that they're contrasting. They're total opposites. Imagine Nolly is very focused on love story, on social, on society rather, whereas El Filibusterismo is more on revenge, more on political. So napakalaking difference between the two, yet they are connected. They are still connected to each other. So, isa yon sa reason kung bakit dapat nyo talaga siyang basahin. Another thing why I recommend reading the book is you learn more about our history from these books. Even if hindi ka fan nung history subject mo in class, this is one good way of learning about the past. Not in a way, more particularly when it comes to culture and traditions. Oo. Hindi naman nakadetalye dito yung Battle of Mactan. Hindi naman din-discuss na Rizal dito yung yung mga what do you call this, yung mga naging war during that time, during time of Lapu-Lapu and whatnot. Hindi naman din describe yun dito, but more focusing on cultures and tradition, definitely a must read. I would suggest. Yeah, I did enjoy reading these two books. I think it's really an essential read to any Filipino readers. I prefer Noli Me Tangere over El Fini, even if it's longer. But both are quite satisfying. So yeah, I think that's about it for my review of these two books. So sorry it took me 52 minutes or more to finish the review, but I hope you get how do I say it? You'd be interested to read these two after watching the video. Kasi honestly, ang mga nakita kong video about Noli and El Fili are more discussions, like dinidiscuss yung mga chapters and whatnot. Pero wala pa talaga yung official na review or reaction. So, or kung meron man, baka very rare. So, I'm glad that I did this. Hopefully, this would encourage you or convince you to start reading Noli and El Fili as well. I feel bad na hindi na tapos ni Dr. Jose Rizal ang Makamisa. I'm guessing it'll probably everything would come full circle kung nakompleto niya yun. But yeah, I'm thoroughly satisfied with these two books. So, that's about it. Thank you for joining me sa 53 minutes ng pagdaldal. If you have any comments, if you have any reactions sa mga nabanggit ko throughout this review, please do put them in the comments below. And again, please like and subscribe this video. Like and subscribe. Like the video and subscribe to my channel. Hindi ko alam sasabihin ko. Cause yeah, I'll be posting a lot more reviews in the next coming weeks. Hopefully when my throat is much better. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again on my next book review. Have a good day. This is Marky again from PH Books and More. See you again soon. Bye bye.